Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mighty Emotions podcast. Today, I'm talking to you about emotional integration, what it is, and how it helps us to overcome and heal anxiety, to overcome and heal overwhelm and burnout. Because when we can integrate our emotions, we can have peace. We can have freedom from anxiety. And so if that's something that you're interested in learning about, then I think you'll really enjoy today's podcast. And if anything I say resonates with you, please connect with me on Instagram at mighty_emotions and let me know in the DMs what you thought of this episode. Share it with somebody that you think it may resonate with. Rate it on Spotify so that people can find it. And thank you so much for supporting this podcast just by listening, just by sharing it with others, telling people about it. I hope that it is a service to you. And I'm really excited for some changes that are coming to the podcast soon. So if you have any ideas that you would like me to talk about, any topics related to emotions, related to life in general, then like I said, reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know so that I can continue to make episodes that serve you. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Mighty Emotions podcast, where we talk openly about our emotions so that we can have the capacity to receive more of what life has to offer. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm an emotional resilience coach, and my mission is to empower you and equip you with the tools to take control of your life by learning to master your emotions. If you're ready to eliminate negative patterns of avoiding and numbing so you can have inner peace, increase self-esteem, improve your relationships with others, and get more out of life, then keep listening. Hello. Welcome to another episode. And today's episode is all about emotional integration, what that is, what that looks like, and why we need that in order to live lives that fill us with joy and love and gratitude, instead of being chronically anxious, chronically overwhelmed, chronically feeling powerless. Instead of that reality, we are able to experience the opposite of that reality. Clarity, joy, peace, tranquility, serenity, whatever you want to call it. It's possible. And trust me, if it's possible for me, it's possible for every single soul listening to this right now. It has been possible for all of my clients who struggled with chronic anxiety, social anxiety, negative self-talk. And as we did our work of learning to integrate our emotions and their emotions, that stuff went away. They didn't focus on making that go away. But that is a byproduct of emotional integration. Is that freedom from anxiety? Is that freedom from that chronic overwhelm and fear that leads to burnout? Because all it is that churning of energy. So I'm not going to go deeply into what anxiety is today because I have done a podcast on it, episode 8 of the Mighty Emotions podcast. Check that out for more in-depth, what is anxiety? But all I'll say in this episode is that anxiety is the churning, the recycling of the same energy over and over and over. Not processing, not integrating, not releasing, just on a loop within us. It causes all this chaos, internal chaos, right? Depression, on the flip side, is when we're like weighed down. We're just carrying and piling up, like imagine stones collecting these emotions, piling up within us and weighing us down. Anxiety is just like a hamster on a wheel, right? We're just picking it up again and again and again and again, the same energy, instead of processing it, instead of integrating it. Because when we fully process our emotions, we end that cycle and we give ourselves the space to receive new experiences. We're not reliving the same experience on a loop without completing that loop. And anxiety is not completing the emotional loop, but just going around and around and around again, right? Like a Ferris wheel of emotional energy. And the solution is emotional integration. So what is emotional integration? Emotional integration is when we surrender fully and completely and honor everything that we feel so that we can process it. And what I mean by process it is processing our emotions, as I mentioned in my earlier episodes, is a two-step process. We have to first feel that energy in our bodies, and there are many different modalities that you can use to move the energy in your body so that you can come back to a calm enough space to examine and listen to that emotion and then process it from the mental space. Because our emotions are both energy that we feel in our body and messengers from our subconscious to our subconscious. Our emotions' job, the job of our emotions, the whole purpose of them is to make us aware, to make us conscious of stuff that's within our subconscious that we need to address, lessons that we need to integrate. Or maybe the word integrate is throwing you off, but digest, right? So think about it like with food. We don't just eat 24/7. There are periods of digestion. There are periods of rest where our body goes through this process to absorb the nutrients that need to be absorbed, aka the lessons that need to be taken in and integrated, and to expel the waste, aka release the things that no longer serve us. So emotional integration can also be viewed as emotional digestion, where we actually slow down and let our bodies process that energy. And then we take the nutrients, we take the lessons from those emotions, we take the messages from them to apply to our life in the form of aligned action. That emotion comes with information. We take from that the information that we need in our current life to move into the future. And then we release what no longer serves us. We release what we no longer need. And when we do that, we break the cycle of anxiety because we're not just consuming the same energy on a loop over and over and over. We're allowing that to digest. We're allowing ourselves to integrate with that information and to know, leave what we don't need, take what we need to take, and move forward, close the loop, end the cycle. And this concept of digestion is one that we're not really conscious of or we're not really aware of because our body does that for us. Like, we don't need to tell our body to digest our food. Our job is to consume the food and help our body expel the waste, but the body does the work, and it's the same with our emotions. When it comes to emotional integration, this isn't hard labor. This isn't do all of this work, do all of these healing techniques and modalities. Our bodies are wise enough. They're already programmed to digest this emotional energy. Our job is to assist it by slowing down, by resting, by allowing that energy to be processed, and not blocking it by constricting and contracting and running and avoiding and distracting ourselves. All of that is interrupting the digestive process, right? It's leading to this like emotional constipation in a way. This episode is getting a little graphic, but that's such a good metaphor for it, right? Like, I really want you to understand that emotional integration is how we detox from the emotions that we carry. Then when we carry, they lead to anxiety or depression. And so the answer isn't, how do I get rid of this anxiety or depression? The answer is, how do I begin to integrate with my emotions? How do I begin to digest that emotion so that I can close that loop, so that I can move forward, so that I can open myself up to have new experiences, which is the whole point of life, is to continue to have experiences, to continue to grow, to continue to evolve. And the work is not this Like I said, it's not this grueling, laborious process. In my Getting Back to You program, I work very gently with my clients through this, through their emotions, through the things that they're going through, and how to integrate the emotions that come with each experience, because each experience comes with its own set of emotions, because there's lessons that we need to take, there's messages that we need to take from each experience. And we can't assume that, oh, this thing happened and it's over. It's not happening right now, so it's not impacting me anymore. Could not be further from the truth. If you haven't fully processed that experience, it's going to continue to impact you. So, having said all that, how do we do this? If you go back and listen to my first few episodes, I share this in depth, but this is just a reminder that the process is simple, right? We notice that we're feeling something. We notice that. And we do that instinctively, because that is it's noticing that discomfort that leads us to run, to distract, to hide, to avoid. So we already know how to notice. We're all pros at that. But then we honor. And the way we honor is by slowing down and by giving that energy the reverence and the respect and the space that it needs to move through our bodies. Maybe you dance, maybe you sit and you just feel that energy. You clasp your hands together, or you put them on your heart, or you just sit and you just feel that energy moving through your body. The honoring piece is about connecting to our bodies and to just observing the energy move through us. Letting our bodies do its work, letting our body digest. It can't digest if we're still consuming. It can't digest the emotions if we're still moving and going and going and going. We need to slow down, honor that emotion, sit with our body, and let it digest that emotional energy. And then when we come back to a place of calm, stillness, and it happens very quickly. If you practice this daily, it happens very quickly. When we get to that place of calm, there's this clarity in our mind where we can see what is the emotion or emotions usually that is appearing here, and what is the message. What is the message that the emotion is bringing to me? What is it that I need to look at and address? Is it a need? Is there an obstacle to that need getting met? What is that obstacle? And that information is going to let us know what we need to release, what we need to let go, what we need to make peace with, and what we need to integrate to move forward. What is this new belief that we're going to carry? What is this new way of seeing things that we're going to move forward with? And when we do that, we evolve. We step into a place of serenity, freedom from this anxiety. It's not there anymore because we're not picking up the same thing over and over. We've let it go and we've moved forward. Does this mean we'll never experience anxiety? No. But this is when we can stop and recognize why that anxiety is there, and we know exactly what to do to resolve it. And in that way, it doesn't need to become chronic. It doesn't need to be ongoing. And the second thing that I'll say, or the last thing that I'll say, is that we need to practice this. Even when we feel good, practice observing and honoring our good emotions too. Fully feel them, fully embrace them in the present. Today I was hugging my daughter and I just squeezed her and closed my eyes and just felt that love and that affection that I was experiencing, so that I can remember that feeling in the future. When we're not fully present with our emotions, it's so easy for them to be fleeting because they're transient, especially the positive ones. We can forget them so quickly. It's important to integrate those positive emotions too by fully experiencing them, by fully embracing them and letting our bodies fill with that energy and tuning into what that experience is like and allowing it to shape us and allowing it to shape our lives. So emotional integration isn't just for the emotions that we want to avoid, it's for all of our emotions. They're all energy, they all carry messages. And the more we can practice this, the more we can practice really feeling them, really listening to them, really honoring them, the smoother our life gets, the less chaotic it is, right? One of my favorite quotes is that serenity is when everything can be going wrong around me and I am at peace, right? Because life is a matter of interpretation. It really is. And we're always going to have these things going on in our subconscious, and they just stay there unless we do something with them. So if you take nothing else from this episode, just remember that we need to digest our emotions the same way we need to digest food, that our bodies already know how to digest our emotions. We just need to stop interfering with the process. We need to create the room and the space for that process to take place. And when we do that, we can absorb the nutrients from those emotions, the messages that they have for us, so that we can take aligned action and we can release and expel the waste from those experiences, the things that no longer serve us. We can let them go. And if we do this, we don't need to have a life of anxiety, of chronic anxiety. We don't need to be chronically overwhelmed. We can really remain grounded and centered and aligned with ourselves, no matter what's going on around us. So with that, I love you, love you, love you for listening as always. And wherever you are, I hope that you take some time to be with yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to honor your humanity, because there's nothing inherently wrong with you. And that it is possible to overcome anxiety. It is possible to heal anxiety. It is possible to have peace. And that is my wish for you. So love you for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.